Eurobond in May. That's all for today's regional stories. Let's take a moment to look at how the markets to some, while on the other hand, new industries and jobs in the technology sector outweigh the economic effects of workers being displaced by automation, according to the World Bank. Now, James Kanyangi, Group Head of Robotic Process Automation at TechnoBrain, joined us earlier for more.
We are literally in the fourth industrial revolution, so we're going to see a lot of drastic changes going the next 5 to 10 years. A lot of jobs will be automated, but also a lot of jobs will be created by AI and robotics. Just to give you an example, it is estimated that 25 to 30% of jobs will be replaced, right? But at the same time, AI and robotics will create about 1 billion new jobs by 2030. And just to give you an example, I was in India last week. In one specific city, 30,000 young people are being actually employed by one technology company. These are jobs that were not there 10 years ago. So you can see the impact. So it's a plus and a minus.
Just staying with the jobs answer there, James. When you talk about 30,000 jobs being created, the number of jobs that the robots and automation are replacing are way more than that. And to even bring it closer to home, it's people with the lack of certain skill sets. Now, we don't have the most literate of continents as yet, and that's going to require investment in things like the education sectors and literacy. But now, doesn't this have an opportunity, and a negative one at that, of creating an income inequality gap?
No, Arnold, actually, I see it differently. If you look at 10 years ago, top 10 Fortune 500 companies had a few tech firms. That is not the case today. Most of them are tech firms. Now, you'll see that these companies tend to hire from societies that have traditionally been marginalized, like the 30,000, right? So I do not agree with that view. I think a lot of changes will happen, yes. We need to reskill our existing workforce and also prepare our young people for the fourth industrial revolution that is actually underway.
Now, what you're talking about is going to put a kind of economic pressure on governments. That means they will have to prioritize things like education or reskilling people. Now, education budgets don't seem to be the biggest. Defense budgets seem to take the lion's share of most of our government's planning. So how do we expect them to alter this funding to education to ensure that there's that impact that you're talking about?
Okay. So, Arnold, I see it two ways. Number one, the education system has to be fixed so that the candidates being churned out are actually prepared for the marketplace. But also things like plugging the existing infrastructural gaps, like access to electricity and internet, so that the young people who are coming out of our education systems can better take advantage of the digital economy. Now, coming back to the education and budget, right? There are some changes that can be made without huge budget implications. So say infusing AI and robotics in your traditional disciplines, like medicine, architecture, or even the humanities, because in the coming future, the individuals who are in these fields will actually need to be positioned so that they can leverage these technologies. Otherwise, they'll be disrupted.
Okay, now when we look at the upcoming trends in the industry, what do you think is going to be the driving force of AI and robotics 2020 going forward?
Okay. So basically, companies will be able to do more with less, right? And then we will not, like traditionally, we've been prepared for a lifetime of employment, right? That is what the education system has trained us to be, right? But with technology, we'll constantly need reskilling, upskilling, so that we stay on top of our game, so to speak. Yeah. But again, if you look at the current scenario, we have almost 20 to 30 years of personal data out there, consumer data.